Inside the Birds is back. What's up, everybody? Geoff, Mosher, Adam Caplan, and we got a lot to talk about today on Inside the Birds. We've got some transactions that the Eagles have made. We've got some transactions the Eagles could make in the next, day, week or so. We've got to talk about some things that have happened in practice. Got some injuries facing the Eagles at not a great time. And then, of course, the Eagles start their joint practices with the Browns today.
Yes,
2:00 in the afternoon. Adam Caplan, you'll be there.
I'm literally leaving right after this. I'm literally going like this. I'm running. So yeah, I made a pit stop home, and I'm driving again, another long trip. This time to beautiful, not so beautiful, Berea, Ohio. Sorry for folks if you live there near there. But the cool thing is, on my drive back from the Patriots camp, you can relate to this because didn't you live in Connecticut for a time?
I did for quite a long time. Yes.
So, and I didn't know I'd be doing this, but I had to get off and get gas. And what do I pass? Stu Leonard's. So I stopped
there. Well, were you in Norwalk? Is that where you were?
That was the one. Yeah, exactly.
Right on Route 1. Yeah. Yep.
So I got
great chocolate milk.
Yeah. Poured the gnome for the milk, and I got off 95, and I was just driving for a gas station. I'm like, what the hell is this doing here?
That's a famous spot right there, Stu Leonard's.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, for those of you who live in Connecticut, it's kind of it's just
kind of like Wegmans before Wegmans.
Right.
It's been there since that.
Connecticut
maybe earlier, but yeah, a lot of different selections of foods, a lot of prepared foods, things like that. Yeah.
So it's just Connecticut though, right? Or are they in New York too?
No, I think they were only in Connecticut.
Okay.
I thought it was just a Connecticut institution.
Yeah. But the drive today, going to Berea, it's not scenic.
No, it is not. It's not fun.
PA Turnpike, Ohio Turnpike, boom, 6.5 hours. So it's from 2 to 4. By the way, it's 2 to 4 p.m. today and tomorrow. We'll have some notes from the Eagles offense versus the Browns defense. Is really where the matchup is. There's no question about it. Definitely. Browns defense is really talented, one of the most talented defenses in the NFL. Yep. Offensively, they've got some challenges. Everybody knows about the quarterback situation, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking forward to that. And then you and I will join each other in beautiful Miami Beach, Florida, or something like that.
Well, we won't be at the beach, but certainly we'll be in.
Well, actually, it's Miami Garden. Sorry, my bad. Miami Garden.
Big difference, my friend.
Yes, yeah. From what I've been told, yeah. But I'm looking forward to it, and that'll end my tour. And I'm burnt to a crisp, so I don't need any more sun.
Real quick, because you're going to Eagles-Browns practice. You're coming from the Patriots-Panthers practice. So, did you watch all of their practices? Patriots.
Oh yeah.
You saw that. You get a good view of the Christian McCaffrey fight that ended up with a woman getting.
Here's the crazy thing: there were minimum of 4 over the 2 days.
Wow. Of
skirmishes. I am shocked that Belichick. Well, Belichick threw 2 players out on the first day.
Mm-hmm.
It was Kendrick Bourne and unfortunately another receiver, 17, Wilkinson, who unfortunately the next day got knocked out on I believe it was a special teams play. But and then Chuba Hubbard got chucked, a run back for the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was very chippy, and the Panthers defensive backs were sort of like the instigators. They were talking smack big time during the first practice on Tuesday.
And they've got some good ones, right? You're talking about J.C. Horn and Dante Jackson, is it? Yeah, he's good.
It's C.J. Henderson.
Right. And then, of course, the safety, Jeremy Chin. Yeah.
Chin is great, or they're going to play mostly at safety now. Yeah, I talked to the Panthers quite a bit over the 2 days, and they have a really good roster. And Baker Mayfield, by the way, clearly is going to be the starter.
Oh, okay. And their defense is good. They got legit players on D. Their offense was like eyesore last year.
Well,
I'm not sure that Mayfield's so much better that he's going to make them that much better. But
they'll be better. They're an 8 to 10 win team with Mayfield. If he doesn't get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, if you put McCaffrey back, remember McCaffrey barely played after when they were 3-0. McCaffrey and who else? Oh, and J.C. Horn got hurt in the same game. That
Right.
win on like a Thursday night against the Texans.
Right.
They were never the same after that. They were 3-0, then they lost 4 in a row. And man, it just shows you in this league, man, when you lose your quarterback, or in this case, you lose your bell cow, and they are going to be a running team. But they're going to be they're hiding the quarterback this year. And plus with Mayfield, you don't want him throwing a ton. You want to work off the run game.
Right.
And you said it with that defense. It'll work. They'll be a wild card team. They won't be the Bucs out for that division, but they'll be a wild card team with Mayfield. And if McCaffrey plays majority of the games, they're going to be a wild card team.
I see a big bounce back year from McCaffrey. Obviously, we're getting deep into the Panthers here, and we'll do that later when we do your training camp tour roundup. But I don't think he's going to be unhealthy for 3 straight years. Same thing with Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
But with McCaffrey, they did improve their offensive line, and it looks like they've upgraded quarterback. But they have such a good defense that I agree with you. There'll be an opportunity for them to be decent. And I think McCaffrey is going to light it up again. I really do.
And Foreman, the former running back with the Titans who revived his career, a former 3rd or 4th rounder for the Texans many years ago.
Deonta, right? Or
yeah.
Dante?
Yeah, he spells it odd. The O next to the D is capitalized. He is really good. Like, he's a power back.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a good roster. Here's where the Eagles are just so much better than them. I give the Panthers credit for being aggressive in free agency in the draft. They have 4 new starters on their offensive line, but you got to get these pieces together. They got to figure out what lineup works best. But the Eagles, they just draft and develop so well in the offensive line. It does surprise me that, I mean, I know the Ravens try, the Ravens do it to a certain extent in terms of the offensive line, but I don't. And if we went through all 32 teams, I'd find it hard to believe anyone's done a better job. Really, 2 decades of addressing and building an offensive line, and more often than not their own players, but every once in a while the Eagles would bring in, obviously, Jason Peters. What an unbelievable trade. Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer.
Right.
But they draft and develop, and obviously it starts with the coaches. You got to have an elite coach, and they sure do.
Sure. Yeah, sure. And then, I agree. I know what you're saying. It's surprising that more teams don't do what the Eagles do. But then again, at the same point, the Eagles have used 2nd-round picks 2 straight years on offensive linemen, and it looks like they'll be good players, but at the expense of doing anything in the back end of their defense. They have not drafted a corner high. They have not drafted a safety high. And when they lose games, and because people throw over the top or beat them, then everybody says, well, you've been ignoring this position for so long. So it's like a give or take. Other teams like the Panthers, you would kill for their secondary. Like we just talked about how good Chin was.
Chin was this close. It was either be Hurts or Chin, and they did what they wanted to do there. But Chin's a stud, no doubt.
Right.
No, I mean, if I had our draw, if you and I were building a team, you could have great safeties. I want a great offensive line.
Sure, absolutely.
I
didn't say the Eagles were wrong. I'm just saying other teams do it differently too.
Yeah, no, but I'm not even saying that. No, I hear you. I just my point is this: if you just talk to general managers, they'll tell you it starts up front.
That's true.
It's hard to be good
without a good line.
It's just hard because you got to protect and then look, the Eagles walk in with Kelsey, a future Hall of Famer. That, you just don't have that kind of luck. I mean, the guy's drafted in the 6th round in 2011. Nobody thought, guys, just, we know about the appendectomy around there, but the fact of the matter is, when you build and build and build around it, they replenish, as you were just talking about. They keep drafting them. Now, if they get it right at safety, and we're going to get into that in a minute, that leads perfectly to the part of our show today. Is that you start doing, if you don't get it right at safety, you start patchworking it, and they're patchworking it, and it's not working right now.
Right. I think of that 2019 team a lot, Adam, because I remember going into the year thinking that team, the 18 team, I'm sorry, that the 2018 Eagles team, I thought from a roster standpoint, a 53 standpoint, was deeper and better than even the Super Bowl team, because they had added Michael Bennett. How good is Michael Bennett, right?
Mike Wallace.
Yeah, they brought in Mike Wallace to replace Torrey Smith. They added a few other players too, and I thought, man, this is a really, and they were really good in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. Malik, what's his face, Jackson, but he got hurt, right? But then what happened? They go play New Orleans, and 3 of their 4 defensive backs were like DeAndre Bembry, Chandon
Oh,
Sullivan, Josh Hawkins, and whoever, and they just completely got torn apart. And I think Minnesota tore them apart that year or the next year too. Like that. So that's again, it's that trade-off of you're always addressing the O-line, D-line. That's great, but when you've ignored a spot and then you get injuries there, it would be where imagine this team, this year's team that we think can win 11, 12 games, imagine if they get injuries to both James Bradbury and
oh,
Darius
it's over.
Slay, who are both
We've
on
only
the right. We'll be saying, yeah, great offensive, great defensive line,
no
but you
depth.
know what?
Yeah.
There you go. And then we're already talking about safety as a real concern, and we'll talk about that moving forward in this podcast because it is still a big concern for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I think, by the way,
go ahead.
Malik Jackson, I think, came in 1918, just FYI.
So who was the 18? Because
It was Jernigan, Cox,
oh,
Barnett.
Jernigan came back. That's right. I forgot.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
Jernigan. Yeah,
yeah.
they ran it back basically with
And
that line.
the immortal Destiny Vallejo. Just one of my favorite names.
And
also.
don't forget about the other immortal, Aziz Shatu.
I know we mentioned the funny stuff on Twitter. I got to tell you, when they signed him, and people lost their stuff. They just saw, look, everybody has a different name.
Oh, and they had Chris Long back that year. That was his.
Yeah, that was his. Was that his? Did they bring back 19? I know 18 for sure because he came.
He was on. Yeah, no, I'm talking about the 18.
19.
He was on the 17 and the 18 team.
Yep.
So
Did he come
18,
back in 19?
That 2018 team was good, man. I mean, it should have been good. Is what.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just funny seeing some of the players who are on the 18 roster. I just saw one of them on Wednesday, Jalen Mills. I saw him Tuesday and Wednesday. Jalen Mills still has the green hair. Still has the green hair.
Of course he does.
He's great. He came over to the fans, signed autographs. He's the guy that flocks the kids. It was great to see him do that.
Right.
But the other thing is, I was thinking as we were putting together the show today, you know what they need? These guys are just hard to find. Like Corey Graham was a guy that the Eagles would bring back, as a third safety.
Yeah.
He did a good job of that. And for those of you who this is before your time, but this guy later became a coach for the Eagles. Andy Reid, I'd have to look.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
Yep. Tim Houck.
Mm-hmm.
That was his guy. Like he would bring him back like a safety blanket.
Sure.
If they could, eventually Malcolm Jenkins retired. Of course, he would be under contract in New Orleans, but they just don't have that guy that they could bring off the scrap heap that they know and they trust, who could just get him by for a year. They're in a tough way at safety right now. They got a really good roster otherwise, but man, safety is a problem.
It is a problem. We'll continue to talk about that as well. We got a big announcement for everybody. We are going back for year 3 to 97.5 The Fanatic on Monday nights. ITB radio on 97.5 The Fanatic in Philly, starting at 6 o'clock. Our first show will be after the season opener. So the season opener is September 11th. Right?
Oh, is it? Oh,
yes.
wait. Oh, the 12th. Oh, it'd be the 12th.
So September 12th, I believe, is our first show.
We should ask them if we could start the week before.
Yeah, maybe they'll let us start the week before. We'll see.
I'd love to. Yeah. we should, now you brought this up. We should ask. But no,
that's a good point.
We're happy to be back. It's and the great thing is they have an outstanding app. You can listen live on the app or on their website. They archive the show usually within 2 hours. They do a great job of that, and they archive it on both the website and the app. So yeah, as you said, yeah, it'll be, if we're not preempted for Sixers or Flyers during the season, it'll be 6 to 8. We get the great thing, really cool is that we get fans calling from Texas from their fans of our show, listeners of our show.
Sure.
Pod. So it's pretty cool where they kind of infiltrate the phone lines.
ITB radio will actually start even a little bit before 6 o'clock, Adam, because, and I want to thank the Fanatic for this, and also the people doing the Drive Time show, which is a great new show with Tyrone Johnson, our own Hunter Brody with them. Jen Scordo, of course, does. I've known Jen Scordo for 15 years. It's kind of funny how she works there. But yeah, Jen Scordo, Tyrone, and of course Ricky Bowe. We're gonna do an ITB best show ever crossover at the end of their show. So starting about 5:30, I'm gonna hop in there with them in studio, talk a little Eagles, and tease what we've got. You and I have got coming up in the 6 o'clock to 8 to 6 to 8 hour time frame. So it's going to be an awesome crossover. I look forward to chopping it up with the crew there, and I appreciate that from the Fanatic. I think it's really cool that they're helping ITB spread out a little bit at the station. That's nice.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, this is yeah, we definitely going to be more connected to the Fanatic. We had a great talk with them, and we look forward to going back. And wow, this is so Joe DeCamera and I hosted from 13 through 15, and you and I have now 20, 21, and 22. Wow, very cool, man.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So again, thanks to 97.5 The Fanatic. We're really looking forward to going back there and talking with the callers. We always enjoy getting to connect with the callers. And by the way, we've got some more stuff coming up for the fall that we've been teasing, but just it takes a while to announce things, but we're going to be doing other stuff that's interactive. In fact, one of the things I can mention right now, August 31st, which is what is that, a Wednesday? I think August 31st. That is
Wednesday night. Yes,
Wednesday, starting at 6 o'clock. You and I are going to be in Fishtown doing a live showing, a live stream for anybody who wants to watch on YouTube or our socials. But also, if you want to show up to Fishtown, there's a place, they have a new park called the Mural City Garden. It's in Fishtown. It's at 2211-17 Frankfurt Ave. It's going to be you, me, and Jason Avant. We're going to do an ITB TV show there. And, at August 31st, we'll basically be recapping training camp, going through some cuts, and previewing the season with Jason Avant. So he's excited, by the way, to get back with us and talk some Eagles football. He'll be more involved with ITB stuff again going forward. But yeah, so this starts at 6 o'clock to 7:30. There'll be drinks there. Admission is free. We'll be giving away prizes. There'll be food and beverage. The cool thing is, Adam, I think I showed you a picture. They bought a trolley. The Fishtown BID bought a trolley. It's amazing. They bought this huge trolley that they turned into a food and beverage kind of cart area. And it's just like a throwback look, and it's a beautiful park, the Mural City Garden. So we look forward to doing that show, and
please show up.
Everybody else comes out to check us out. Yeah,
because the future of our company and our show is these live events. We're working on a bunch of things for the next 6 to 9 months, and this is the first one. And the great thing is, you said, this is hugging up right to the regular season.
Yep.
So so we're at 85 players. This Tuesday, the 23rd, we're down to 80. And then, then they go. I think it's this year. I think August 30th is 53. They're doing it a week earlier, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check that, but I think I read that from my notebook. So like you said, we'll be able to discuss pretty much everything. Yeah.
It'll be a great time.
It is 53 players, 4 p.m. Oh, this is great. 4 p.m. Eastern on August 30th. This is a little earlier this year. You got to get down to 53 players. And also the next day will be the practice squad. So yeah, this is great. We'll be able to, you're right. We'll be able to go over everything and get everybody's thoughts, and we'll give our picks for the season too.
We will. Oh, you're putting me on the spot there.
Come on, man. You got 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, this. I like to wait until like September.
Well, what else do you have?
I like to wait that extra week.
Well, it's funny because I made some mistakes in fantasy drafting before like the third preseason game. No way. I wait. Well, there are only 3 now, but one year I lost Julian Edelman towards ACL, I think, in a preseason game.
Okay.
And then this is remember, it was the 17 year he didn't play in the Super Bowl.
Right.
And I'm like, never again. I will never draft before the 53.
Mm-hmm.
What I would do is let's say it was set on whatever day it was, we would draft Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday before the Thursday night game. Too many times, your guys would get hurt in a preseason. That's why I don't like drafting early.
Right. I hear you. That's why I like to not wait on that and my picks, but I'll play along and give you the picks on August 31st.
Okay.
We'll see.
Awesome.
All right. Come out and see us in Fishtown, please. It'll be a great time. All right. Let's get into some roster moves by the Eagles. They had to get down to 85 players by Tuesday at 4 o'clock. They had started a little bit early. I think 2 days before they had said goodbye to William Dunkel, who got picked up, I think, by Steelers next day. He was the guard.
If you pass the river. Yep.
Yeah. And then there was another player that they had let loose that day who now all of a sudden I can't remember. But then the day after that, they needed to get rid of 3 more players. Some of it was easy for them because of injuries. So they waived injured all 3 guys: Lance Lenore, Jared Maiden, and Jimmy Moreland. All of them were waived injured. Adam, I haven't checked. Did they all revert to IR?
Yep.
Because nobody
They
claimed
did
them?
on Wednesday. Yep, correct. They're all on IR.
Does that mean that these guys are going to be out for quite a while?
Well, what happens very quickly? Here's the way it works. They have most likely they'll all take injury settlements. They did a settlement with Keurig Wheatfall.
That's the one that with Dunkel, right? Okay.
Yeah. He was waived injured. He went on IR. Then they reached a settlement with him. So he when you do that, you have to go through waivers again. He was not claimed. So now Moreland's the guy. He had we were told a minor ankle injury. Then he came back to practice. Maybe he hurt it again. I don't know what the situation was. We'll look at it. But once you reach an injury settlement, it depends. Eagles have brought guys back who they reach injury settlements for, but there's a certain amount of time you have to be away from the team.
Right.
It's somewhere around 2 months or more, but then you could come back. It depends on the length of it. Moreland's was not, unless he re-injured it badly. He could come back later, a couple months if they want him back. But so Maiden, you saw him carted off last week with an ankle injury, and Lenore can run though. He's been sort of like a young journeyman. But fact of the matter is the big story, and I say big only because this is the one Geoff and I were calling each other. When was this? Tuesday morning.
You're not going to believe this phone call.
Well, we get these. Geoff and I, since we've been doing the show for 5 years, we call each other with information. Sometimes you're not going to believe this, and I go, "What? What do you got?" And I go, "No, you go." And I may or may not know where Geoff might have gotten it. I don't guess. I just go, "You seem to have a good source on this." Okay, I don't believe it, but you got a good one. This is crazy, both of us do this. So I called Geoff late Tuesday morning. I said, "I know you're going to laugh at me. I know you're not going to believe this, but not that it's surprising. Those were shopping Arcega-Whiteside. How did I know this? Because one of the teams called me and said, have you heard that they're shopping them around?" I'm like, "Well, why would anyone want to take them?" Because we said we had no interest, and I just remembered when they announced the trade to Seattle, and I remember Amadi actually saw him with the Seahawks probably the last time I was at their camp. And so what happened with him, here's kind of the cool stuff that we have the background. So they actually gave him permission to seek a trade within before Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. What happened was they called a bunch of teams. Once the last team said no, he went to the Eagles. That's the way I heard it went down. Here's your scouting report, according to multiple sources who have graded his tape, and through Seahawks sources. He is powerfully built. He cannot play outside corner. There's no chance. He's a safety and a nickel corner. He's got very good special teams ability. Just like they did with Josiah Scott, it would really surprise me if they would wind up cutting him, just so they could take a look at him this week and the final week, and in the practices leading up and after. He clearly has more value than Arcega-Whiteside would have. We'll get to him in a minute, but from the Eagles' purposes, this is yet another situation where if you're a safety and you could play, they want to talk to you. Epps now has a back injury. Tart just came back from the personal situation. They're down in numbers. Anthony Harris has not had a great camp, been okay. Epps has been the guy. Right. So let me ask you this question. I know the season doesn't start for 3 weeks. And we said this in March, be careful, don't worry about it. The season doesn't start till September. Boy, they went crazy. With the draft and free agency, they've had a great run, but they have not had a great run at safety. They didn't get Marcus Williams. It's amazing how one transaction that they didn't get leaves a lot of uncertainty. What are they going to do here?
It's a great question. The sense I get is that if my name isn't Marcus Epps and I'm a safety on the Eagles, I'm not so sure I'm definitely on this team.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying all 5 guys after Marcus Epps.
Exactly. That's what I'm sure the people at home, what did he just say?
But I'm saying that no one should feel like they definitely have a job.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Right? Because you can, well, first of all, the only two guys with experience, real experience, are now Epps, who hasn't even started a full year, and Anthony Harris. Okay.
Well, Tart, of course.
Oh, I'm sorry, and Tart. So let me get to Tart, and it's not. I'm not going to tell anybody anything that they don't already know. He was away from the team for a while with a personal reason. Hope everything's fine. He wasn't, as we've reported, taking to the defense very quickly anyway. So it's hard unless he makes major strides in the next 2 or 3 weeks, which is possible. But we're just talking about the situation right now. Okay, right now it would be very difficult for him to go and contribute to this team on defense without really knowing the entire playbook and being able to do what he does. So so there's, let me just finish. Shashere, who's a special teamer, and then there's this guy Amadi who just got here, and then we've talked about Reed Blankenship, who's impressive, but he's a rookie free agent. So just knowing Howie Roseman, and you had mentioned this earlier, how he got Ronald Darby at this time last year, knowing how he sees what everybody else sees, he knows this is a position of deficiency. He knows right now his best safety has never started for a full year, and his second best safety, Anthony Harris, is really just okay. I mean, he's just a guy, right? So if Howie Roseman were to bring in somehow, if he makes a trade for another safety, someone with more experience than Amadi even, and I'm not saying he's going to, I'm just saying we know Howie is aggressive and he will look to upgrade this team.
Yes.
So if he does make an upgrade, it's hard not to think that upgrade wouldn't be somebody who starts alongside Epps, I would think, right? So that's why I say if your name isn't Marcus Epps right now, you could make this team. I'm not saying everybody's going to get a cut, but I think everybody should be worried about their job security, depending on what Howie Roseman does.
Well, all right, let me flip this forward here. So let's go back to 2017 before the Darby trade. This is how bad it was at corner.
Wait, can I try to guess?
This is great. Oh, I cannot believe we've never talked about this guy.
Oh, I want to guess.
Don't look up. Do not.
No, I'm not. Let's see. 2017 corners pre-Ronald Darby. We got Rasul Douglas. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, you got who was the Florida kid from Florida who was a corner safe? Jalen Watkins. Jalen Watkins, was that his name?
No, he wasn't there then. No. Who would later play safety, but no,
he wasn't on the 2017 team.
No, I'm looking at
I'm pretty
July.
Sure
I'm to start training camp. To start training camp.
I thought he was on the team then. Okay, that's fine.
I'm sorry. He played. They had moved him to safety. I'm sorry. I'm looking.
So he was on the team.
Yes,
because they moved him back to corner. He played a little outside corner when Darby got hurt.
Yes, but they moved him to safety. That's what I was looking at corner.
Gotcha.
This is why they did it. This is why they made. This is
Ronald Brooks, was he on the team?
Right, and remember he had a devastating knee injury.
Yeah. They didn't have Leotis McKelvin at that point. I think they had already moved on from him.
They did because he was there on 16.
Patrick
he was
Robinson.
Right. He you know how bad he was for the first couple weeks of training camp.
Jalen Mills.
Yep, he was good.
So it's Mills, Robinson, Rasul Douglas, Jalen Watkins is a safety at that point, and Ronald Brooks. Who am I missing?
Sidney Jones, who was drafted.
Of course, Sidney Jones, right?
Yeah. From Canada, Aaron Grimes, who just didn't really do anything.
Aaron Grimes,
that's not the one.
Oh, there's another.
This is okay. I'm gonna give you all a hint. This guy was drafted by the Eagles. I don't know what his role is. The guy came from the Jaguars. I just gave it away.
Oh yeah,
it's a tough one because you really have to.
But I don't remember.
It's not Dwayne Gratz. It's Dwayne Gratz. Because everyone called him Gratz, and I guess they said in their pronunciation guide it was Gratz.
That's funny.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw Michael Jacquette's name on a roster the other day. Oh, did he? Oh well.
he got cut. Yeah, so that's why I brought this up. As you were talking, I'm like, well, this is exactly the scenario why they made the trade, because Roseman was being honest with himself. You can't compete with this group. Right. You got one guy. Robinson's your slot, who got off to a bad start. Jalen Mills is a solid player. This is his second year at 17.
Mm-hmm.
He was a great story. He's a former 7th round pick. Ron Brooks was coming off a bad knee injury. Douglas is a rookie. Jones wasn't ready. He was a rookie. You can't go forward with this.
No. Now, what was the odd irony about that, though?
Odd irony. What do you terms? I don't know.
Ronald Darby got hurt, missed 10 games. Remember, he got hurt in the season
Oh,
opener, missed the next 10 games and went 9-1.
yeah. Who the hell started?
I told you. So I remember Rasul Douglas and Jalen Watkins they played situationally. They rotated
right?
at one cornerback spot, and Jalen Mills rotated was the other.
Unbelievable. We should do a retrospective of that. Oh my god. How did they go? Really?
Yes. Not yeah. Jalen I said Jalen Watkins. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
Jalen
yeah.
Watkins and Rasul split reps on one side. Oh, and Patrick Robinson in base defense would play outside also and then move inside in nickel. So
wow. Was Randall go forth, young man? Was he on that? I love that name.
I love it. So yeah, getting back to safety, it's not a great situation. When I say Howie Roseman might make a move, I don't know that he's going to make a move, and I'm not talking about Jeremy Bates. I know that a lot of antenna always goes up because, as we've outlined, you can't give Jeremy Bates a contract extension at this
Not
point.
Jeremy Bates. You keep calling him Jeremy Bates.
What's wrong with me today, man? Can we just restart this pod?
No, you're doing great.
Jesse Bates. It's they're not getting either of them.
Right.
Jesse Bates. I'm not going to rule anything out, but it would be very unlikely because he has to play on the franchise tag, and it's a lot of money.
You can't extend it, right? It just that's why you don't do it, because the competition you have to give up, which is more than a first round pick. If they again, to be clear, the Bengals aren't shopping them,
right?
But if they did, we've outlined this months ago. The Bengals historically, they're bottom 5 in player trades. They don't like doing it. This started with Paul Brown and his son Mike, who's handing over the personnel stuff to Duke Tobin. They just believe that you let the players play out their contract. They're big, and I mean big on compensatory picks. It's a dirty little secret with agents telling me that they're like, they just don't want to trade their players. They're like, no, we'll just let them play the contract out. Right. They know why. So
I feel like you lose so much leverage if you trade for somebody on the franchise tag, because as soon as the year is up, if I'm the agent for that player, let's say you give up a first round pick and something else, or 2 seconds or whatever, as soon as the year's up, if I'm the agent, I'm looking at what the market is, and I'm adding 10 million to it and saying, that's what I want. And if you say no, say, okay, well, you just gave up 2 first round or 2 second round picks in the first. We'll just walk to the next team that offers us $1 more than you did. And how bad are you going to look? Like,
you're right.
You have to re-sign that guy. And
leverage.
You give that guy so much leverage. Yeah.
Sure, because you cannot agree to anything after July 15th if you trade the play on the tag.
Right.
You can't do a wink, nod, because as you just outlined very well, if the guy has a great season, and you just saw the Derwin James deal, and the money will only go up with the TV might come in 23. If I represented a player, I'm not agreeing to anything. I'm like, look, we'll talk through the fall.
Yep.
But we're going to want more than Derwin James got.
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, that's just now the Eagles, interestingly, they offered Marcus Williams $14 million a year. They basically matched what Baltimore wanted, and he just decided to go to Baltimore for whatever reason. So at least we know they're willing to pay it, but they're in a very tough way because this roster is so good. Otherwise, I've not felt like this probably since 18, as you brought that up. But the teams will find a way to exploit this. Now, Epps is not only is their best safety, he's their best coverage safety, but he's a smaller guy, and as you said, and it's so true, he's not been a full-time starter before. So to me, the Eagles are a really good safety away, because if you could get someone opposite Epps, then you figure out who your 3 and 4 are. Of course, obviously, if they have to play, you got problems, but you can't just feel like it. Someone could get hurt. You don't control that, but you do control what kind of 22 you put together as starting units, and they've got to do something. And I agree with you. They will do something. I don't know what that is, whether they claim someone off waivers at the 53, or they make a trade, and trade calls are going on like every team I go to or talk to, if I talk to GM or personnel director, they're talking to teams almost every day. But okay, who you're bottom 10. Give us an idea of who they are, because we'll look at their film. We may be calling you back. Right. It's the kind of things that go on right now.
Right. So, and as it was, put to me by somebody who I trust a lot, the big concern right now is speed or lack thereof at that position versus teams that can stress you vertically. You can't play two safeties deep all game long. Can't play, you can't play man, obviously, all game long. You've got to be able to play multiple defenses on the back end. And even if you're in a cover 3 zone, right? If you have one safety deep, that guy is going to have to basically take one half of the field. And if you send 2 receivers or a receiver and a tight end deep down the seams, he's got to guard one. So you got to cover if you're a safety. And the Eagles just don't, other than Marcus Epps, have not had anybody who's a proven good cover safety.
And Amadi, we're told, short arms. That's not Pete Carroll likes length. It just never really worked.
Right.
I mean, now because the Eagles are in a tough way, he's going to get a shot. Should be, I'll look for him today and tomorrow. Definitely look for him at practice. But they're in a tough way. We'll see what they're able to do. And the good thing is, this is a time of year where you could find a guy that you might have had. Let's say the guy's buried on a depth chart, where you could give up very little and just throw him in the mix. As Joe Banner told us last year, I think you had asked him about why so many guys didn't make it in the 6th or 7th rounds. Well, they did a lot of dart throwing. This is what happens sometimes. You look now. In this case, you would look for someone you actually had a higher grade on. This is a little different from what we were talking about with Joe, and they would actually make the picks. But you look for guys on other rosters who are completely buried, and you watch you get access obviously to the preseason games. Oh, and also, as some of the Panthers pointed out to me, the great thing is you get the practice tape. Now you can't share it with other teams because that's the agreement, but you have the practice tape. So, we look at the Browns here, who are very good. They're very deep in safety. They're one of the deeper teams. Maybe they look at someone who, on the back end of their safety group. They get Kid Moffitt. He used to be with the Jets.
Right.
They're legit. They got 4 guys who could play. Actually, well, Delpit's back now. Delpit, John Johnson's paid a lot. Ronnie Harrison, who's a big safety. LeCount was drafted last year. So maybe they find a back end guy. Who knows? Look,
maybe
we know
next week, because we know the Dolphins are loaded with defensive backs. Are they?
Dolphins.
Not?
Okay, real quick, and then we'll move on.
Sure.
Dolphins at safety. Back end. They have. Well,
I mean, they're better at corner, but they're kind of like.
But yes, you're right. But Brandon Jones, old friend Eric Rowe, Javon Holland, who's really good. I know Cosell likes him.
Yeah.
Sheldrick Redwine, he used to be with the Panthers and the Browns. I remember him.
Mm-hmm.
And a Philly guy. I think this guy's from Philly. Let me just double check. Is he? I think. Wait, was it? No, that's a different Campbell. Elijah Campbell's a safety out of Northern Iowa.
You're thinking of Ibrahim Campbell, who also once played for the Dolphins.
Yes.
Who was out of I think it was South Jersey, but may have been Philly. No, you're right.
Western
Philly. It was Imhotep, I think he went to.
Okay. And he went to Northwestern, right?
Yes, he went to Northwestern.
Oh, Clayton Fedulum. Yes, I remember him.
Wait, excuse me, what? Clayton who?
I know. It's impossible to spell. The only reason why I know how to say it because I asked his agent. He said, dude, I got no clue.
Can you repeat it though? Because I feel like you purposely just whizzed by that last name.
Clayton Fedulum.
Feels like one of those Fedulum I barely know him jokes.
Yeah, right. So look, this is it. This is it. They got to do something. So there you go. There's your. You can't say we didn't talk about safeties, folks. We wasted 15 minutes. No,
if something tells me that we're gonna, it's gonna be a big topic of conversation.
Yeah,
going forward
until it's major. Quite frankly,
it is. So all right, any other moves the Eagles might be making? So obviously, after there's only 2 preseason games left, and you already start to see the Eagles made trades. Some other teams are making moves. Jalen Reagor, Adam. It's my understanding that there have been 2 teams that have been discussing Jalen, checking into Jalen with the Eagles, I'd say lately over the last few days. I don't know, one from the AFC, one from the NFC. I don't know if they've made an offer. I don't know what kind of response they're getting. We've been reporting for a while that teams have called to check in on Jalen and talk to Howie, but nothing's happened. But I do know that 2 teams have called more recently about him. And I would think, because we're getting closer to the 2nd and 3rd preseason game here, if there's going to be a move, it might be made before the 3rd. I would think a team, if it wants to trade for a guy, they're going to try to get him in before that 3rd preseason game and give him a couple of weeks. So
Sure.
if there's going to be a move, I imagine it would happen within the next week. I mean, it doesn't have to, but we shall see what
It would make
happens here.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it would
because
make sense to me. Yeah,
you would want a young receiver who's got to learn new terminology.
right.
Running back is easier to learn. Receiver's tough. Changing teams just tough. So, and then with Arcega-Whiteside, this is one of these rare situations where, I mean, I'm just talking about a second round pick. You could go back to Kevin Cobb worked out to a certain extent that he got hurt in his career, obviously took a nosedive. At least he showed something and he got that 1 year, $10 million deal. But my goodness gracious, other than Jaquan Jarrett, that was the other one where he just did nothing, and that he revived his career a little bit with the Jets. But Arcega-Whiteside, I just don't see. You can't. The way it was explained to me is you have to be not only good, you have to be a supreme special teams player if you can't do anything else to help a team. And that's where they were with Arcega-Whiteside. We were told it did not work at all tight end. He was, if you graded 1 through 90, he was between 87 and 90. That's where he was.
Yeah, I was going to say that I got similar feedback that he was really, he was a bottom 5 to 10 performer at camp.
Yeah.
Now again, he was trying to play a different position, and I think it was Shane Steichen who mentioned it's not, even though a lot of tight ends catch passes these days similarly, and even though he was an interior pass catcher for the last 2 years, when you're actually practicing as a tight end and you have to block linebackers or crash down on defensive ends and double team with the tackle, that's a whole different animal. And you have to still be able to do that. Even if you're more of a flex tight end, you got to at least do it in practice. So I don't know if that weighed on him. It's like the baseball thing. When you take a third baseman who's not very good and you try to put him in left field, you could see it affects might affect his mentality. He doesn't hit well. I don't know. I don't know if maybe JJ Arcega-Whiteside just never really bought into the idea of being a tight end, but he just did not perform well, we were told, this camp.
Yeah, and look, the thing that I never could understand, we did that post-draft show in 19, and the thing we heard from people was that he's going to help them in the red zone because he's great catch radius, and they needed help in the red zone. He didn't help them at all. That area.
He's one of the great mysteries of the sport and the draft because of the wide variety. I mean, I remember we asked people at the combine the next year, where did you have Arcega-Whiteside? And some people said, I think someone said they had him as a 2 or a 3, and then other people were like a 5.
Well,
I mean, there were some people who just didn't like him at all. I mean, it was very weird.
Okay, we'll add to that.
Uh-huh.
Because you're standing right next to me. This guy, high-ranking personnel source from an NFC team, said he gave him a priority free agent grade.
Yeah.
So as you just said, the wide variety of grades. But the thing this is where analytics kills you. The tape did not match up to the numbers, all the good stuff that Arcega-Whiteside had at Stanford. High catch radius, numbers are really good. A lot of good metrics. None of them transferred to the NFL. I mean, none of them, because he didn't play like that at this level. He could not get separation.
Right.
His 40 time is very good. He ran like he was slow at this level. Now, I know you're alluding to this. Will change of scenery really matter? I doubt it. I just don't see. Like Sidney Jones got a new lease on life, and he's with Seattle. He's okay player. He's never been as good as the second round grade.
Right.
I mean, the second round draft that he had as a draft pick in 17, he'll never live up to that.
Right.
He's just not that type of player. But I just don't see anything in Arcega-Whiteside that said he's going to make it. But I wish the guy well. I hope I'm wrong. Nice guy, high character kid. It clearly didn't work. And the thing is, and this is what the Eagles could have done, where this is the last story here, which it only happened because I saw the guy in front of me. Duke Dawson was a second round corner for the Patriots. Belichick saw that the guy could not help him. I think he traded him after 1 year. I'm going to look this up right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just got to swallow your pride and say, you know what, we screwed up, didn't work, learn from it, don't let it happen again, and move on. And
hey, the Eagles did that with Donnell Pumphrey. I know he wasn't a second round pick; it was a 4th round pick, but I think they cut him after his first year, right?
Second year.
Yeah, but it was after training camp of his second. It's not like he even played with the team 2 full seasons. If
I have to
I'm,
look that up. Yeah, I
I'm
thought
pretty sure they cut him after the second training camp.
you might be right, Duke. This is unbelievable. They draft. Yeah, I was right. They traded. It is amazing. At 11th month, this is great. Yeah, basically, he barely played for New England his first year. Then they traded him before the cut down in 19.
Didn't the Eagles cut Quentin Caver after a year? He was a day
Yeah,
two
people
pick,
brought
was
him
he
up
not?
to me. Yeah, it's so long ago, I don't remember.
Pretty sure. I
But
think so.
Pumper is a fourth rounder. But the
Right.
fact of the matter is,
Mm-hmm.
you can't tell me that they didn't see that the guy was stiff and it just didn't look good. He's not going to get less stiff. Like when you see it, you got to throw your hands up like this. We missed on this one. And that's where I think that's where they screwed up. They should have not belabored the point. Just suck it up. You missed. And now could have they gotten something a year ago or two? I have no idea if they. But I'm really surprised that so many smart people. You and I know a lot of people in the league actually like Arcega-Whiteside. I'm like, well, okay. I mean, I know it's easy to look at now and say, well, they got it wrong, but I'd love to know what they saw. Love to know.
If you really want to bang your head into a wall, have a painful memory, because it wasn't that long ago. I guess in 2019, yeah, that's when they brought Deshaun in. He got hurt. I think they played a lot of games basically with Arcega-Whiteside, Mac Hollins, and Nelson Aguilar in his final year on the fifth year of his fifth-year option, right? That year.
That's right. Yeah, 10 million.
Play as their receivers, and it was awful. I mean, I don't even know how. And now that I think about it, I don't even know how they made the playoffs. How'd they win games? Because if I remember correctly, Mac Hollins went like 7 straight games where he played over 50% of the snaps and still did not get a target, not a reception, not even a target, I think. Boy. I mean, they were trying to run Hollins and Arcega-Whiteside in and off to try to get, they were mostly in 12 personnel. So they had 2 receivers. I mean, God, they just wore out Goddard and Ertz for those 2 years. There was and throwing to the running backs.
Oh, that is scary. How the
believe that?
I do remember it because we were doing shows then. It was like painful to talk about it because this is when Greg said, "Oh, Cosell this might be the year." He said the slowest offense he'd seen.
I think it was.
He probably threw his hands up like, "Ooh."
Mac Hollins, JJ Arcega-Whiteside, and Nelson Aguilar were their top 3 receivers.
Well,
Alshon was hurt, wasn't he?
Most likely the case. And remember, the Eagles had Peterson believes in wide splits. He doesn't believe in reduced splits.
Right.
So it makes them look slower that they couldn't get open.
Yeah.
And this is, geez. And Doug was doing it when I was there last week.
Man.
We'll see if they can win. But overall, this is one of those, well, you scratch your head and like it was bad early for Arcega-Whiteside. You could just tell, like he didn't move very well. But new lease in life, we wish him luck.
All right, make sure you're getting the very best CBD from our friends at Freestone Farms. Just go to freestonefarmscbd.com and you can get 20% off at checkout using the promo code ITB. That's promo code ITB at checkout to get 20%. I always think that's a great deal. 20% off on freestonefarmscbd.com. All right, let's gravitate here toward some injuries. Got some fairly, bigger names who have not been practicing, and you don't know if you'll see them or not when they start against the Browns. First one being sort of that time of the year, Miles Sanders. He is. It was weird because at first I think they announced it as a leg injury and he was wearing a sleeve, and then now they're saying it's a hamstring.
Not good. He's had major issues with hamstring problems. You go back the year that we reported, they had strains on both legs with hamstrings. He's had other hamstring issues other times.
Yep.
This is not good. Now I know it's only training camp. Just as long as they get him to the regular season, that's great. I know he's really working hard. He came in the best shape of his career, but I guess it's bad luck, but it's something to keep an eye on. Calcaterra should be close when the next week to coming back at least limited. Greg Ward, I can't imagine he'll make the team. He hasn't practiced in almost 3 weeks with his toe injury.
Is it turf toe? I mean, I don't know.
I have no idea. toe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good that the Eagles actually list this stuff. It's good to know.
Mhm.
We'll look into it. Hargrave has been out almost 2 weeks with a toe injury. Christian Ellis, who wasn't going to make it anyway, with a hamstring injury.
Right.
Epps with the back is new. Bradbury left Tuesday, undisclosed. We'll see if he's working today. And then the good thing is Boston Scott finally got cleared after 3 weeks to start working.
Yep.
So he's starting to work. Hightower's starting to work. Like Lorraine Clark, who they really need back, is starting to work.
Mm-hmm.
And just one note, this won't take very long. The Tuesday practice, my understanding is Hurts is really, really good. Not one perfect, but Devontae Smith looks great. He's healthy. He's over the groin issue that plagued him for 3 weeks. And Dallas Goedert, really right now, but I would say, based on what we've heard, if you rank them 1 to 5, who's been the best players in camp, offense and defense? Goddard's top 3. If you said 1, I wouldn't argue with it based on the information we have.
Yeah.
He's been incredible. Hurts has found him.
TJ Edwards too. Yeah. I mean, those two
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
are really
TJ
having great camps.
Yeah. Edwards is a good call. Edwards, star of defense at Goddard. AJ Brown, stars of offense. Goddard, though, they this is a big time timing offense.
Mm-hmm.
And they're designing him play. He's getting wide open. I understand, like, these are their own player defenses they're going against. I'm so curious, speaking of that, of them going against Chicago, Cleveland, those good safeties, good linebackers, see how real this is now that they're, because by the way, teams absolutely game plan and they do all sorts of stuff. They run the regular stuff in the scrimmages. Mm-hmm. They don't do it in the game. It's really interesting.
Right.
So I'm so interested to see what the Browns do. Joe Woods, the D coordinator. They have great linebacker coaches. They have a really good defensive staff. So this is a really good test for Hurts and the coaches and all the talent they have.
Absolutely. To go back to Calcaterra, still, are you hopefully coming back soon? You know, it feels like you're coming toward the end, but there's still about 3 weeks left before they have. Or is it two and a half before they have to cut down to?
Yeah, the 30th. Less than less than 2 weeks.
That's true. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. Hargrave, I mean, I have to hope he's okay. It's a toe. Hopefully he'll be back. I agree. The Sanders thing is ominous just because it's his hamstring. But to have to practice, today against the Browns with Epps probably out and Bradbury maybe not out. We'll have to see.
I don't have no idea.
We have no idea.
Not even going to guess.
No yeah, I don't know. So, but again, without Epps, that's difficult because
they might have him. We don't know. He just it's a back, so you hope it's only spasms. We just don't know exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But they're so thin on depth. You'd said this to me the other day, and it turned out you nailed this one. You're like, don't be shocked if that undrafted free agent starts working with the ones. Lo and behold, he did. Reed Blankenship. Now, we had heard that though he's had a very good camp, he makes more sense for the practice squad because he's not a great athlete.
Absolutely.
Super smart. Coaches like him. And then they've added Ugo Amadi.
Mm-hmm.
Or Ugo, actually, I think it's Ugo. Well, we'll get that cleared up. But Amadi will certainly going to practice this week. So poor Kevon Wallace, this guy, they clearly don't see him as a guy who's got a chance to break any kind of lineup here. So he's a guy that I think is going to have to really do something to make this roster. I don't see it right now.
All right. So as far as Tuesday's practice, you had mentioned Dallas Goedert continues to be a star of practice. There was certainly a Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith connection going on, which I know that was the big deal, that it was so much Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown, and then all of a sudden Devontae has come back. But it sort of a reminder, I feel like Devontae Smith has become a little bit of the forgotten man this training camp, but I don't think he's going to be a forgotten man when the season starts on September 11th.
Well, the great thing is, we've talked about this before, and it's certainly going to be a factor because you've added AJ Brown now, and Goddard's the man. There's no Ertz to start the season. Like, how are you going to start when they get Gainwell out there and Sanders when he's healthy?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how are you going to stop this group? If they,
a lot of weapons.
Yeah, I mean, they could do they could do the pony package. We saw Littleton training camp, but yeah, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun team to watch. I'm so curious how they do in these combined, because theoretically, none of the starters should play in the preseason from this time on. There's no reason to, because you're more often than not, starters won't play in the preseason games if you have back-to-back during practices, because the other thing is it's really hot in certain areas, particularly in Miami. So you want to get these guys drained and then have them play in a game. I don't see the point of it, but we'll see what happens there. But looking forward to all this work they're getting.
So when we're in Miami, I've already been thinking about the level of firepower we're going to see, offensive firepower between both teams. When you have Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Dallas Goedert, Mike Gesicki, that's pretty freaking good. Oh, Miles Sanders. Who's their running back? They got Breida healthy. They
have like 10 of them, but they're all just.
Not Breida. I'm sorry, Mosher. When Mosher is healthy, he's good and fast, and he's in that same offense.
Chip Kelly's guy,
Daniel there. Yeah.
No, he's an unbelievable zone runner. He's so fast, but he's 30 and major knee problems. Chase Edmonds is making $6 million a year. Sony Michel will be the short yardage guy. Waddle, Hill, Cedric Wilson, who's a really good backup, one of the better backup receivers. Preston Williams could always play. Lynn Bone was Mr. Checkdown. You're right, man. They're Mohamed Sanu. Yeah, they're loaded.
There's some talent there. It's going to be pretty good. And then if you actually flip it, and I don't want to get too far ahead, we'll wind up talking about it next week. Some good defensive cornerback talent too, between Slay, Bradbury, Xavier Howard, Eric Rowe is there, who's playing well, and they got another corner.
Byron Jones who's out.
Not Eric Rowe. I meant Byron. Oh no, they have both. Yeah, Byron Jones.
Right. Byron Jones has been out the whole entire offseason. He's had certain leg surgery, so he may not be ready for the start of the season. We'll see. But no, you're right. So just to move this along here, this is really good. The test that they're going to get is pretty significant. The Eagles offense, I'll be looking at the Eagles offense versus the Browns defense pretty much today, and then we'll see tomorrow what. Obviously, I want to see who's practicing, who's not practicing, and I want to see Jurgens go against their front. Like Jurgens had his way against the Jets. Let's see what he does against Cleveland.
All right, I just want to talk a little bit more about this Browns joint practice. First, I want to stop and make sure everybody remembers our friends at phlsportsnation.com. Check them out. All right. They are for the fan, by the fan. That's their motto, covering all Philadelphia sports teams. So check them out at phlsportsnation.com or on Twitter at phlsportsnation. We'll pause real quick for a word from our other great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. Hey, it's Geoff Mosher from Inside the Birds, and guess what? I'm going to give you a chance to win some money just by testing your NFL knowledge. It's all on the new app everyone's talking about called Versus Game, and it's pretty easy. It's fun. You're going to love it. Here's what you do. You find Inside the Birds on Versus Game, and what you're going to find is me asking you a sports question, probably an Eagles question, but it will be a sports question. It's either a yes or no question or an either or. The bottom line is, if you're right, you could win money. Even if you want to just test your knowledge for fun, you don't even have to bet money, but there's always a chance to win some big bucks on Versus Game. It's a really awesome setup. It's an opportunity for you to not only test your knowledge, not only make some money, but Versus Game will pit you against another opponent. You could bet up to $1 to $100 if you want. It's just a great time. I suggest you start playing now. Find us on Versus Game at Inside the Birds. See the latest question that I've put up. See if you can get it right and see if you can make some money in the process. That's Versus Game. It's all one word, no space. And we'll be talking about the result of the question in the next Inside the Birds episode, along with introducing a new question. So go to Versus Game right now to Inside the Birds and find out what question we've asked. And if you hop into Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them Adam and Geoff sent you. You will get the best deal. One thing I'm curious about, Adam, is I don't even know if you'll know or what they're doing yet, but obviously at the time of us recording this podcast, no decision yet has been made on Deshaun Watson's status. So do you anticipate that Jacoby Brissett will get a decent amount of reps anyway with the first team? They got to start getting them ready.
Yeah, because it would have been announced a week ago at the earliest, Peter Harvey's decision on the appeal, which we know is going to be more than 6 games. But because they're trying to get a settlement done, the NFLPA for Watson, it's holding it up. So it's kind of weird. Yeah, that it's funny you brought this up because that's one of the things that's hanging over this practice, these 2 practices, and potentially the game. Because if you're suspended for a year, you cannot, you're gone. You can't be around the team.
Right.
But if it's less than a year, you could practice, you could play in the preseason, but once you get to the 53, you go on the reserve list. So that, well, I just can't imagine being a Browns fan. You finally get it together. 2020. It's just amazing what a run they had. They actually won they blew out the Steelers in the playoffs.
Yep.
And then 2 years later, Baker Mayfield's traded. He wanted out. It's kind of, to be honest with you, they wanted him. It's a little different in that he was not happy with them, and they certainly weren't happy with him. Whereas the Eagles did not want to trade Wentz. Wentz clearly wanted out.
Right.
It's bizarre. It just, and Mayfield looked really good against New England. Like he's going to be the starter this season for sure. He's just got to get his timing down with new pass targets. But the Browns are a team that's run based. The Eagles' run defense is going to get tested.
Yeah, I think this is good for the linebackers, right? Because
great point. Yeah,
Nick Chubb is going to be coming at Kaiser White and Nakobe Dean and TJ Edwards. So
they have a good line. Yeah. They have Joel Bitonio's. He's a great football player. Their line and Jack Conklin's healthy. He's over his patella tendon tear. They've got one of the best lines in football. The only thing is they're down to their second center. Yeah. Right. Ethan Posick came over from Seattle, will be the center. But other than that, no, this is great. I love
Ethan
these.
Posick? Is that what you said? Ethan Posick? That is the guy that I remember Fletcher Cox once actually in the middle of combat, like displaced him. He lifted him up and put him somewhere else. Fletcher had an unbelievable bull.
Oh, when you say somewhere else, I don't remember that part.
Oh, I mean, he got underneath Ethan's pads. Maybe it's on Twitter somewhere.
You were scaring me. I thought you meant somewhere else. Like, ooh, I hope not.
No. I said in combat, in the middle of a game.
Oh,
yeah. They collide, and I just remember Fletcher. I think it might have been they played him twice in 2008, right? In the regular season and then in the playoffs, and they lost to him by the exact same score in both games. I think it was one of those games. He just basically
it was crazy.
Picked him up and put him somewhere else. It was unbelievable.
Wow. Do you remember the scores were exactly and weren't the scores, what's it, like 19-11 or something?
16-9 or something? Yeah, no, 19-11. That's a good one. I think that's what it was.
Did it set an NFL record for was it this most bizarre thing, like 2 games in a row with an odd score? Like what are the But anyway, look, it's going to be it's cool that we're doing this. I can't wait also to next week because I've not been to I've been at Berea, the Browns 10 times, but I've not been to the new Dolphins complex.
Yeah, Miami, Northeast Ohio. Which
exactly.
It's going to be more fun to go.
Wish us luck, folks. We're looking forward to it. We'll have reports for you. We'll find out who's doing well and needs to pick it up. And it should be an exciting time being an Eagles fan because they've had the front office done a phenomenal job. Coaches have got things going on. They know the players better. The defense, as I've said many times, Eagle fans, season ticket holders, you will not be embarrassed by this linebacker core anymore. I promise you. You'll actually be proud of them.
All right. That's a declaration from Adam Caplan right there that he will probably, I don't know, just like last year, picking the Giants to win the division. Sometime around week 6 or 7, he might be Mia Copley.
I'm not going to get him.
All right, cool. That's going to do it for this edition of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Big thanks to our producer, Tyler Strasser. He does a great job. And of course, we thank you for flying with us inside the birds.